Oh, in stream.
There we go.
Here? Or do I change that?
Yeah, I think we'll be good. Testing.
Yes, video.
This one?
Yeah, that's it.
Ah,
Oh, this is the camera.
You saw it expanded?
Yeah. This is my camera,
Okay.
not the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so where's the other one? The extras.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
And then this one too. So you gotta adjust the other one. Whichever one. This one. Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, then maybe it's computer settings.
Yeah. It's okay.
Perfect.
We'll do it that way.
And just for the slides, could we make it so that it's not auto slide? So then, because I think it might be moving back and
Yeah,
forth. Yeah. Perfect. Amazing. Cool.
There you go. And then put it on the first.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna say, just kind of go through our sponsors. I'll introduce Vibe Days. Bring up his co-host. Ryan, you talk about Vibe Days and you go in your presentation. However you want to do it.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we'll get a lot more and more people will keep
Yeah.
trickling in.
That's a lot of people.
Amazing. Well, welcome everyone to Vibe Days by DeepStation. Yeah, let's give it up. amazing. Look at all these people here ready to build and code, and let's get to work today. This is going to be a great workshop, a lot of fun, interactive. And before we get started, we just want to talk a little bit about, what is Vibe Days and what is DeepStation. DeepStation is a community bringing together AI engineers, professionals, and more so that we all stay ahead of the AI wave. And before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors. Our sponsor, you might recognize this person. This is Consultabit. This is our AI integration automation company. So if any of you need support, help with AI integration automation, you know where to look. Just reach out to us afterwards. Of course, let's give it up to the Lab Miami for this amazing venue. Give it up to Chris Daniels and Anil Stern and the entire team here. Amazing. In fact, if you're wanting to stay up to date with everything that they're introducing, their newsletter, they have an incredible newsletter. They always share about all the different events that they're having. They have so many great events here. Just scan this QR code and that's how you can go ahead and opt in. So if you want to take out your phones and just opt in real quick, you'll be good to go.
Hey.
Amazing. Look at all these folks that are going to be coming to more and more events here at the lab. Amazing. So that's fantastic. And of course, we're really excited to talk about our Diamond sponsor and supporter, UKG. Do you want to say some things about it?
Yeah, so it's really cool because when we talked to UKG, they were like, do the event, we'll support you with everything you need. So that's why we're here.
Amazing. Let's give it up for UKG one more time. Huge company, loves their support, and they have such incredible designers too.
Yeah.
And let's give it up for our food sponsor, Dos Croquetas. Let's give it up. Amazing food. Yeah. Here's the thing, right? We have so many tech professionals here, AI and in tech and everything, and so, we like to eat out, right? So if you want to eat out, have some delicious food, go ahead and scan that QR code, and please do it, because then they will keep, providing us good food too. So it's a win-win for all of us. So thank you. Yes, I love seeing those phones out and QR codes being scanned. Amazing. Soon enough, our agents will be reaching out to you with our sponsors. No, I'm kidding. And meet your host. Of course, me, Grant Kurz, founder of DeepStation. But I would love to introduce our co-host for the evening of Vibe Days. Let's give it up for Agnel Nieves. Let's give it up. Just absolutely incredible. He had an idea with the Vibe Days and was really putting in a lot of work, a lot of energy. Incredible designer. So I was just we just started getting to work and collaborating, and I couldn't be happier to call Agnel our co-host. So let's give it up one more time for Agnel. Again, a lot of these slides, a lot of these designs that you're seeing were actually made by him in collaboration with him. And so we just want to give a really very, very much appreciation for that.
Thank you.
And just love seeing just so many people here out in the audience. So let's give it up. And let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and move into our programming, which is going to be first, essentially interactive step-by-step into building a music app with V0 and Vercel. And by the way, show of hands, who here has used V0 or Vercel in the past? Amazing, amazing, around half and half. And who here is vibe coded before? Cool. And who here is kind of like their first time seeing it in action? Amazing. Thank you for all those hands up. It's so cool to see just all of the different capabilities that we have. And also, we have then followed up by 3 case studies so that don't worry, if you don't have the laptop out, you'll also be seeing what people are building in their day-to-day life, all the way from engineers to websites to you name it. So let's give it up for Agnel one more time and we'll get started.
Thank you, Brent. So who here has heard about vibe coding before? Or like, all right. So who here hasn't heard about vibe coding? So basically, vibe coding, just to put it in simple words, is just a term for you to communicate with the AI and code an application without, going and looking at the actual code that is happening underneath. So we have a lot of vibe coding tools out there. I'm gonna pull up the other slides. All right. So we have a lot of vibe coding tools out there right now, today, that we can use. So we have Firebase Studio, we have V0 from top to right. We have Base 44, Lovable, Bolt, Make, Figma Make, Replit, GitHub Spark, etc. There's a lot of new tools coming up. In fact, GitHub Spark just came out 2 weeks ago, so it's the new kid in the block. But yeah, so today we're gonna focus on V0. And the reason we're focusing on the V0 today is because I come from the technical side and also from the design side of things, right? So I've used many of these tools already. And from my perspective, V0 is perhaps one of the most vertical integrated tools out there. So what I mean by this is that they sort of created the platform with design in mind, but also keeping in mind the engineering side, right? So if I start a project in V0, I can download it on my laptop and keep working on it and then push in a different branch, and V0 will do the same on the platform. And we'll see it in a few also. But that's the main reason we chose V0 for this event specifically. Now, we can use other tools in the future as well for other events, but yeah, so I just wanted to explain what this was about. First, I'm gonna level down a little, because I know there's a lot of technical concepts coming your way, so I'm gonna try to make sure that everything is already laid out. So we have a few different concepts that we're gonna talk about all over this presentation. And the first one is the front end. The front end is just basically what you see, what the user sees on an application. The database is, well, like all the data that is being stored on the application that we're gonna create. CRUD operations is just basically the fact that you can create, delete, update all the data on the application itself. You have components, which are basically reusable elements that you can use across the application. You have AI and LLM, which I think at this point, most of us are aware with it, but just artificial intelligence, large language models, and then API integrations, which is basically like a communication layer between services and just to interact with their data in our application. We have authentication, the backend. The backend is just basically everything that has to do with the application on the data side, right? So logic, functions, database connections, etc. And then we have the deployment. Deployment is just having the application out there for everyone to actually see it and access it. Now we have those out of the way. Is there any questions on this one specifically? Good? All right. So now that we have that out of the way, this is the actual stack that we're going to be using today. So today we're going to be using V0. V0 uses Nest.js, ShadCN UI, and Vercel. Vercel is for the deployments, ShadCN is for the components, Nest.js is the actual framework that is being used to develop the application, and V0 is the platform that we're going to be using today. And on the right side, we have the third-party applications and services that we're going to be implementing in this time around. So today we're going to be using Spotify, Grok, Figma, and then Supabase. Yeah, so from your perspective, you only need to have a Spotify developer account, which we can go over after starting. But yeah, so you only need that one and then the Vercel account. Those two only. The other integrations with Grok and Supabase, that will be built into V0. And then what are we building? So this is the fun part. We are building, this was actually a hard one because there's many things that we can build, right? So I actually had to think about what would be easy and good enough for the time that we have today. So we're building a simple application that you can create playlists with AI, just saying what the mood is for you. Hey, I want to listen to a specific thing, and then it will create a playlist based on what you're feeling at the moment. And then you can just access that playlist, and that's basically it. So let's build. The first thing you guys want to have, if for those following along, is going into v0.com. .app, actually, they changed the URL, v0.app, and here, this is what you're going to see right away. So first off, you don't need an account to get started right away. At some point, it's going to prompt you to create the account, but you don't need it right away. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that this is actually launch week for v0. So what that means for us is that there's a lot of things that are going to be coming this week for v0, so stay tuned on that. And then the other part is that everyone has a $20 credit today to actually access the platform and test it without having to pay anything. This actually goes a long way. I've been testing how far you can go with $20, and I can tell you, it goes a long way. So with that in mind, we can just get started. So basically, I'm gonna put this here. If I can just type. And then we're basically gonna ask v0 what to build, right? So in this case, I have somewhat of a prompt here, but we can just wing it a little bit. So we have let's build an AI-powered music playlist creator using the Spotify API. The user will be entering a prompt to create. I'm explaining what I want the user to do, right? So to create the playlist. Sample, make a playlist. Bear with me here. For getting logged in. So basically, I'm telling it, okay, so let's build an AI-powered music app using Spotify API. We want to be as specific as possible. And then we're going to create a feature where the user can enter the prompt to create their own playlist, and then the sample on how it will be, so to speak. And then we'll just do also for the AI integration, for the prompt, you can use Grok, which is the AI provider. This is the one being used in Twitter, by the way, or X, the database. You can use Supabase, which is the provider that I mentioned before for the database. Now, I want to mention this part because v0 actually attempts to do a lot in the background for you. So here, I just want to make sure we keep it simple. Yeah, to be honest, the typos, don't worry too much about it. The LLM will actually read it through and parse it and actually try to guess what it says. So let's give it, huh? Zoom in? Oh, sorry. Oops. Is it better that way? All right. Let's keep it simple. No authentication. Flow for now, which is fine. And then we also should have a home page, which should show all the created playlists, right? You should also be able to delete them. And that should be enough for what we need to actually get started. So again, we need to be as specific as possible. In this case, we're trying to say exactly what we want to build in our own words, right? So let's build an AI-powered music application that uses the Spotify API. The user will enter the prompt of what they want to do for the playlist. Example, make a playlist for vibe coding and getting locked in. For the prompt, you can use Grok, right? For the database, you can use Supabase, and let's keep it simple. No authentication for now. Also should have a home page where it should show all the created playlists, and you should also be able to delete them, right? This is our prompt as we thought about it from our minds. So one cool thing that they have implemented recently, actually, is the fact that you can enhance the prompt. So even if you give it like a really vague prompt, they actually attempt in the background to make it clearer so the AI that parses the whole thing actually understands better. So in this case, I'm just gonna enhance it. We're gonna wait a little bit, and the AI is actually reading the whole thing, and I rewrote it, right? The same thing, developing, it's basically the same core concept that what I explained, but in a way that V0 can understand it way better. So in this case, I'm just gonna hit send, and basically V0 is gonna cook in the background. The way V0 is built in the background is that you can't, like, it chooses the agent, the model that it needs to use based on the task that it's creating, right? So this is what is called a composite model, where it chooses the actual agent, the model that it needs to use for the agent itself, and that way you don't need to choose it yourself. Now, in this case, I really like to see like what it thinks about where it creates the whole thing, right? So this is really a really good tool for you guys to actually understand where the AI is actually going as far as the thought process goes, right? So it says, hey, I have to set it up now. Now that the user set up the prompt, and I need to set up the database because they're gonna use the database, right? So in this case, it's actually prompting me to create a database with Supabase, which I'm gonna go ahead and hit create. And it's basically gonna connect with the Supabase provider tab, and then you'll prompt me to create the account. So here, you can change the API, for those technical folks, you can say the API prefix, but we don't need to do that right now. We have free plan selected for this. You should see it actually be able to click it. I don't, because I already did it before. But yeah, so I'm just gonna close it now, and then we can skip it. We can connect it later. I'm not gonna think about the actual code base. It's creating the database schema. This is gonna be on the background of things where the code is gonna live. It's just basically telling the application, hey, when you load, this is the structure that we're gonna have for the actual data that it's gonna be pulling from when the database is connected. So it's getting the design inspiration from the web. So you guys noticed I said we were gonna use Figma, but for this time around, I decided to just go straight to it, just to show for people that are not designers in this group, you can also create something from zero without having an actual design in place. So basically, V0 takes all the information that you feed it into it, and then processes everything and gets a design that might be better for your use case. Here it's gonna build everything. This is actual code that's being created in the background. If I open this, I'm gonna see the code being added. And this is what an engineer will see also on their local machine if they were actually creating themselves. I do this all the time. I open the code here just to understand what it's doing. You don't really have to, but it's cool. So yeah, so it's creating the structure. Here is building the homepage. It already created the task for us to actually create the application. Now this is a little bit of a wild use case, right? So you usually don't want to one-shot the whole thing, try to make the application in one go. But I did it just in purpose to actually see what it does. In this case, it's actually prompting to install Grok, which is, again, the AI provider. I'm just going to hit create. It's going to do the same thing for you guys. It's going to open a new tab. It's going to prompt you to save the new API key. But again, in this case, I already have one. It's just going to hit 5 days. And then it's going to continue. Hey, I connected with Grok. Cool. Now it's getting all the API information from Grok directly. In the background, Vercel, they did what they called the AI SDK, which is basically like a standard for TypeScript and React.js, a way for you to implement actual AI integrations using a normal standard process. Again, this is more on the technical side, but it's good to know. While we're at this, I already mentioned React.js, and it's interesting because to me, the other reason I chose V0 specifically for this talk is that V0, Vercel, the company, the parent company, they are built, they have Nest.js, they have the AI SDK, they have all these libraries that you can use today. But the reason I usually following what they do is that the chief of product of Vercel, he used to be the design engineer, the director of the React library that includes React Native and everything like that. So, you know, they already have all the contents they need to actually do the implementation as they should. And while this cooks, yeah, so that's a fun fact about that is that they also implemented the image API on the React team, and the server, there's servers functions that come from React now. That's for non-technical folks, it's just a way for you to connect directly with the server without having to actually write server code. They also built the core for that on the React team. So now it's looking for the Spotify integration. Here we don't have a way to connect it directly because they're not a partner integration with V0, but it's smart enough to know that the structure of the Spotify API is a certain way because they already did the browsing on the web. So it browsed the web, looked for that information, and now it's coming back and filling up the whole code with it.
Is it going through like an error, like creating errors, and it goes back and does it?
It does. So you're gonna see across this whole presentation that I am highly likely to go through a specific error at some point, and we're gonna have to click fix with V0. It's gonna be smart enough to know where the error is, or at least most of the time. The things with this AI coding tools is that sometimes can be a hit or miss, but most of the time they're pretty good. Now for the V0 itself, what they did is that since they are the actual core creator of Nest.js, which is a framework that is being used across. Nest.js is being used in Grok, XAI, a lot of these companies, Claude, is that all the errors that they get from Nest.js, they already know because they built it, right? So they get all the errors that they have and they feed it back to V0 and say, hey, the user got this specific error that we know what it is, so attempt to fix it. So that's pretty cool. So now it says it did most of the tasks, so we'll see. Yeah, it generates it uses Grok, that's fine, I get it. So basically it's just telling me, oh, if you don't have Grok installed, just make sure that the API key is there, which I'll show you guys how to add it, if anything. Oh, this is important. So you see, here, as I mentioned before, it doesn't have the actual Spotify integration with V0 itself. And I did this on purpose because it's highly likely that you'll come across, if you're using V0, an API that is not going to be here, right? So the way you do this is that you go to the Spotify developer docs, and this will be the same process for any API provider out there. So in this case, you guys can go to developer.spotify.com, and then you click on login. It's going to ask you to log in with OAuth or whichever authentication provider that you guys use. In this case, I'm going to use Google. I don't have an account. All right, so let's continue on Facebook then. I know. You know what? I think I'm signed in a different browser actually. I'm not gonna add my Facebook credentials here. But yeah, so while this opens, basically you're gonna open the Spotify dashboard, and then you're gonna see an actual API key in there. Developer, yep. So here, I'm already logged in. So we'll go to the dashboard. This is what you're gonna see when you go in. You're probably likely not gonna see any of this. So for the sake of this demo, I'm just gonna create a new app and say, hey, five days live. And then we do a simple description, AI powered, why not? Music, playlist, creation, app. And then the website. This is important. Well, in this case, it doesn't matter, but for the redirect URI, it always requires it. And then in this case, we can do, where is it? Here. We click on this link, and then it opens the actual site that we just created right now in a different tab. What this will do is that it will actually get the URL of that direct web render that it's rendering the content on. And I'm gonna paste it here, and then that's my,
Where did you get that?
Oh, sorry. You open here on this button here. It would open separately, and then you can it's just I know my shortcuts, but basically you go to a URL bar and copy the URL. And then we're going back to the Spotify dashboard. I paste it here. I select Web API. In your case, you can select whichever API, playback, ads, iOS, whichever. In this case, I'm only gonna choose web because that's what we're doing right now. We're gonna be only using it on our website. So you just hit save here, and then you get a client ID. This client ID we're gonna feed into V0. So copy, go back to V0 here, and then you're gonna see, hey, I had a Spotify client ID. So I just hit here, API key, save, boom, we connect to Spotify. Now, the next one that we need to get is a secret. So this one, as the name implies, is secret. Don't share it anywhere, don't commit it in repositories. It's a bad thing. If you do that, people can actually use your API and you'll feel that in your pocket. So, yep, next thing, we added the API. It already knows that we added it. So it's gonna load in the background. And another cool thing that I recently found out is that everything that you see here is a custom render that Vercel built. This render is gonna go away at some point. They're gonna follow a VM approach, virtual machine. What that means is that we can all of a sudden run any type of environment. That might include React Native at some point, just saying. Yeah, so we already have the app that it created. And basically we can just browse around. This is the UI that I created. It's not as good, to be honest, but at least it's something that we have already. Now, the data set that it has here, it's pulling from a local file that I created with mock data, so it's not real data. Now for this, I'm gonna say, hey, connect Supabase for the database, please. Please. And then it's gonna come back and say, hey, I need to connect with Supabase. Again, I already have one before, so I'm just gonna click here. But in your case, you're gonna hit create, it's gonna open a new tab, you hit save, and then it's gonna go back. So try run. And then it's connected. So, there we go. This? Oh, so you guys see well on the back or like this? All right. Whoops. No. All right. So yeah, so we have the app that we created here. Again, the UI we can tweak later, but we already have it. Cool. So now if I hit start creating here, let's cross our fingers. All right, so check that it connected to the Spotify API. This is actually live, guys. So we are already connected to an API. So now we create the actual playlist. So we're saying, hey, I am feeling creative. Create a playlist for me. Now, I'm not sure if this is gonna work on one shot, but let's see. Yeah, so basically it's gonna go back, and then is this a playlist? Let's see, in Spotify. Okay. Oops. There we go. So yeah, so in the background is, oh, I removed it. It's creating the playlist, checking Spotify. What I want to confirm is they actually installed Grok in it. Because sometimes it will fail whenever it goes on AI provider. Do a playlist for a workout. Yeah, it's highly likely that's connected to Grok. So everything that is happening here is already from Grok directly, which is, again, the AI provider. Now, since before we said, hey, don't do any actual database connection, just know that we're using Supabase, but don't do anything, this is not gonna be saved in our database. So if I go back home, it's not gonna be here. So I'm gonna say, okay, cool. Can you please connect everything with the database and make it work? For this demo, I'm using really vague prompts, right? I just wanna, this is really on the edge, but I just wanna show you guys that you actually can, write as you're thinking. So you don't have to be really descriptive of everything, although it helps a lot. You don't really have to. So now it's creating everything. All right, it read all the files. It says, okay, now I understand everything. Now let's go and actually connect the database. So here is actually doing the connection. Again, all the code that is shown here is cool. That is actually like it is real code. This is not placeholder like a loop or anything. This is actually the code that is being added. And now it's checking its own work. So basically, again, the composite model architecture means that it chooses the model that it needs for doing specific tasks. So here's it reviewed the work. If I open it, I say, hey, yeah, I'm adjusting my approach to better understand the existing code. This is likely for files that were existing already. So it's creating. Now, one thing I want to note is that for AI, and this goes across the board, for AI coding tools, try to make sure to include only the context you need for every interaction that you have, because it will use a lot of what they call tokens, which is basically what they parse to communicate and process the information with the model back and forth. Every token actually costs you, right? Or whatever plan that you're on. So make sure to try to include only the information that you need to include. So in this case, I'm gonna show how in here in a couple minutes, but just to throw it out there. Now, with that in mind, that includes also generating images. So here, I have purposely disabled it, generating the images, and so it's not gonna consume the tokens for generating images. Now, if I were to turn it on, it will actually create the images for the playlist and wherever else you will see normal images. Okay, cool. This is actually working. I know already because the last time I actually tried the Supabase connection specifically, I had added playlists here, but let's see if it actually deletes them. So, okay, so I deleted one. Apparently deleted one, all of them. So let's see. Yep, so if I refresh here, it should not show. All right, cool. So that's actually us connecting with the database and deleting, data from the database. That's cool. Super excited there, because the last time I played it, I had a little back and forth. All right, so now if I go and create my first playlist, let's see if the actual integration with Grok and Spotify works. So again, getting tired of this ones, but oh, okay, cool. 90s nostalgia road trip. Let's just do that one. So here, it would connect with Grok, and then the message that I sent here, Grok will parse it in the background and say, okay, the user asked me for a 90s nostalgia road trip, right? It will think about that, and then we'll create it in a way that Spotify understands. That includes mood, things that Spotify actually, I don't remember the whole thing, but Spotify actually has parameters that you can pass through the API that it understands what you're saying. And then it returns the list of songs with that. So now it's saved apparently. So let's see if I open Spotify here. All right, so it opened Spotify directly. So let's see if it also saved it in the database instead of having me going back here. Yep, okay, cool. So it's on the database. Now, again, if I hit here, I'm pretty sure it won't do nothing. All right, cool. So what we can do in this case, nothing won't serve us anything, right? So what we can do here is that we can go back to the design mode here. And then a cool thing that we can do is that we can point wherever we can edit, right? So in this case, I'm gonna go here. Again, keeping the contextual part in mind, not to burn many tokens. Otherwise, it will have to go through all the files and check where the code is, right? In this case, I'm saying, okay, this button should open another page, right? Let's say page, my site.com slash, okay, let's just say playlist, right? This will be simple. So it will go to another page with playlists, and it will have the actual playlist, the actual songs that are on that playlist. Okay. Songs from that playlist. And again, we hit send. As I said before, I select the button, so it will go to whatever that definition is, and actually attempt to do the connection with the database. So here what it should do is that in the database, and we can confirm this if I go to Subbase here, while this builds, I go to this one. This is the actual database that we created, that we're interacting with. And then we see the databases. Yep, here. And this is, 90s highway rewind. This is the actual data, right? So if I go back to V0, I have updated the button to navigate to the new playlist ID. Basically here what it's saying is that it will get the ID of the item that is generated, and it will add it to the page that it creates. That way when it navigates there, it already knows what data I should pull from the database. That's a technical explanation there. All right, so if I go here, view playlist. Hey, all right, so I am here. I don't see songs though. So let's do this work very well, but I don't see the songs. Now, the things that you're gonna notice with most of these AI tools is that sometimes you will have events like this. In this case, it was really good because we didn't have any upfront error, right? An important thing is to do your research and know what to ask it, because that way it's not gonna throw a lot of errors, right? But in this case, it didn't do a lot of errors. In the past, I tried a couple different demos similar to this, not exactly this one, but I had two errors. One, which was the most prominent one, was the connection with Grok, because the integration that it did in the background on the technical side with the AI SDK wasn't the most optimal one, and it was using an old model called Growth Beta, so that one is not working. I'm technical, so I had to, I tried to not look at the code at all, so I did that over and over, and I was like, oh, there's no way. So I look at the code, and it was actually that. It was using the wrong model. But yeah, all right, so if I open here, playlist, there's no songs. Let's see, let's go back. Say, hey, when creating the playlist, I don't it seems it's not creating songs. Let's check Supabase real quick. Your database is your friend, so if you have access to it, you can actually see what's going on. So here, we don't see any song being added to the database. If I go back to V0, I say the same thing I was saying before. Hey, when I'm creating the playlist, it creates the playlist, but it seems like it's not creating any songs at all. Let's do this. So here I'll go back to the code. All right, I can see the issue now. And then we'll go back and attempt to fix it. So it's a lot of information to hold in its memory. So sometimes the context window might be a little weird, which is basically like the things that it remembers. So that's why sometimes it will sort of forget what to ask for. Now, that reminds me, like if you are happy, and this is more on the technical side again, but if you're happy with the implementation that it did already, and you don't want it to touch anything there, you can go in here and say, hey, log this folder, and what this will do is that it won't fit into the context of the AI. The AI will say, okay, this folder is logged, I don't need to read it at all, so it will just skip it altogether. Here, I'm just gonna go unlock again, because I don't want that. View playlist, okay, and no tracks, okay, cool. So now if I start creating, let's see, one more. Do one more, and then one more after this one. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna show you guys literally like a demo of this working. That I can even share that one actually, the conversation with you guys, so you can use this as reference. That's another thing. If you have V0, you're using V0 or any tool like Lovable, they have similar features. You can actually share what you see here, and then the people you share it with, they're gonna be able to see the whole conversation that you go through here. So that's good for, if you have a technical team and you're creating the thing yourself, you're saying, hey, nothing's working, check it out. And then they will go back to V0 and see the conversation, and they will say, okay, yeah, you messed up here, man. Let's see the code real quick, see how it works. Okay, this is the reason, and then you can continue your way. So that's a cool way to integrate, that workflow. All right, so it says it saved it. So let's go back to the Supabase and say, all right, it's here. I see tracks, so this is new. Let's go back. Tracks are songs, by the way. If I go back here, whoop, back to home. All right, cool. And then here are the songs. All right, awesome, we got it. All right, so this is actually super nice to actually see it so fast. The implementation that we did on the logical side of things, this was the feature set, right? Now, I wanted to cover I only have 5 minutes, but I wanted to cover some parts on the design side as well, which basically, the UI, for example, I don't like the UI. So if I go back to the design tab here, what I did before, I can point to any element here, and I can go here and change things, right? The font size, the colors, things like that. What this will do in the background is that it will actually edit the code here, and it will save it for you. So if I go here, for example, and one more, here, and I change that color, I want it, I don't know, let's say red, yeah. So red, save it. It will save the changes, and then I refresh this, it would still have it. Now the cool part about this is that you can go back to the chat and say, hey, I changed this text to red. That is gonna be my primary brand for the whole application. Now that it knows that it's red, change it everywhere, and it's gonna go to wherever it's using that color and change it. So, things like that you can do. Now, the other part that I wanted to cover, this is more on the technical side, but I think it's really important, is the connections. You can connect it to GitHub and connect it to a specific branch in GitHub. And what that means for you, and if you have a technical team, is that you can collaborate together, right? So you can have a specific branch for you to bytecode and break things and just experiment ideas and things like that. And then when you're done and you're feeling good about it, you can tell your engineers and say, hey, let's just merge this in together and actually put it to production. Now, with this in mind, like if you want to do landing pages and things like that, it's really good for you to like do it alone with no technical requirement. Now, the other part is that you can also publish this site on the web. If I hit publish, I'll publish to production. I'm not going to go for the time, but you publish to production and you have a URL already. And this is an actual deployment using React, Nest.js, the actual like good stack that everyone uses right now. So yeah, so this is just basically a quick overview of how to use V0. I'm taking questions now, so.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
if you were going to create something like a Kubernetes, kind of crazy, right?
Real quick, for anyone asking questions, we have a nice microphone right here. So
Oh, yes. Thank you, Grant.
Right on the live stream too.
So he's asking like integrations with Kubernetes and containerized applications. What that means for non-technical folks here is that basically you can take any application that uses any technology that people use for applications, and you can deploy it all together in a single container, right? And that builds the application and service to the web. And the reason that's cool is that anyone who uses a container don't have to replicate the same development environment on their computer. So you get things going fast. Yes, you can do that. So here, I can start creating the application in V0. I can do it all myself here. Now, the only thing that would be different for you is that I wouldn't be able to publish. I can publish here to Vercel, but if you have your own container, you can either push it to GitHub here directly on the repository, and then whatever workflow you have in GitHub, it would actually publish in the.
So the question is, if I can ask, so crazy, but that kind of crazy idea of developing non-coder CRM with ERP and blah, 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 and all integration platform, and then going out the avenue of going on ref testing.
Yeah.
So I get something and you put it there and then get it over together. Is Vercel as good as Replit is for that reality? Is that sense?
Let me do a simple. Vercel V0, they develop their UI features in V0.
Right.
So get that. They do like, every UI feature that they have in V0 right now is a PM designer just by coding it and passing it to engineering teams.
But for back office.
And yeah, so we'll be asking questions up over here. So
Yeah.
we'll move on to the next
All right.
questions.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about life cycle management for a complex application. Clearly, this looks like a good place to start. But say I want to publish it so that as much as possible, and definitely the database, run on my private equipment. So I'm going to write it here. I'm going to export the whole thing to my private server, run it and collect the data there. But then in the life cycle, you've got component upgrades. You've got changes that you want to make. I'd want to come back here to make those changes, and I'd want this system to handle library upgrades and reintegrate everything so it still works, so that when I export it back to my private server, it doesn't break everything that's already there.
Okay, that's good. So you can connect it. The short answer is you can. The long answer is it depends on your stack. If you're using Nest.js, for example, you can do it right away. Even if it's your code is really complex, it's gonna take some adaptation from the technical side of things to make it look in V0. But I've done it before also. Now, with that in mind, I wouldn't, and this goes in general, I wouldn't use V0 for a complex application as what I do here, I just go straight to production and ship features. That's cool for the UI side, but on the database side, I would, just be aware that there are security things that you need to keep in mind. It's really good for prototyping. It's really good for connecting with data like this, but if you're interacting with a database, make sure it's not in production. That's one thing that I wanted to cover.
Where do we go for that?
For
A complex, multi-layered application with high security and sensitive data.
I mean, you can do it here. You can integrate it here. Again, it depends on the tech stack. If you're using SAS, you can do it here, but you will do your own staging database that you will connect V0 with, right? Everything that you have locally on your code, it can be used here. because the environment variables and everything, it's already in the code that you have. This includes if you don't have the database integrated into V0, like Supabase, for example, any provider that you have that is external, you can use it here as well. It just depends on how your setup is.
Including a local Postgres?
Including like a, well, no, like a local Postgres, no.
Why not?
Because V0 is not a VM, but they're working on that though.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
And we'll have two more questions, two more people asking questions, and then we'll move on to the next speaker. Amazing, thank you. Call.
Sweet, great presentation so far. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. I was wondering about V0 and how it actually works under the hood. Is it just an LLM with tool calls? You mentioned it can use different LLMs. Also, do they do any like fine tuning or creating their own models? Like, how does it work? How does it differ from other coding agents?
Yes. That's the answer to everything. So the way they work right now, the way they started working is that you could choose your own model, and then that changed. Right now, we only see the agent mode, right? So what that means for us is, again, composition mode. I always have a hard time there. But composition model, which essentially means that V0 picks and chooses the model that you need to use based on the task that you need to do, right? So that's basically how it works.
So it can switch between like an OpenAI model,
Yes.
Anthropic model.
You won't
et cetera.
see right now any like mention of those on the UI itself, but I'm pretty sure like they use different things. Now they do fine tune their own or train their own models as well based on libraries and everything that they have.
Yeah, because they have access to Next. I guess they don't have access to the actual code, but I'm sure they have some like
Yes.
coding data they can basically fine tune the models on top of.
Yes. So for you guys, Next.js, ShadCN, Vercel, all those things from the same company. So they already have the data that they built already. Documentation, everything, including ShadCN, which is a component library. And what that does for us and for their models is that everything is already like as good as it should be. But
Awesome, appreciate it.
yeah, no problem.
So we've seen just how great your design is from the event posters and all that. I would be really curious about hearing a little bit at 10,000 foot view of your design process. I feel like a lot of times
okay. Yeah.
stuff looks AI generated. How do you break that mold?
I'll do that one real quick here, but basically what you need to keep in mind is that our design, this is actually the design that I wanted to cover, but there were so many complex, topics that we're covering here that I didn't want to distract everyone. But this is the actual design that I did specifically for this workshop. Basically, I create a new playlist. This is actual, suggestions. This me writing. I send it. I create a playlist. I create it. Now, if I were to implement this in V0 or any tool out there, in V0's case or Lovable or anything like that, I would just literally just screenshot it, right, and then just paste it to V0. A couple screens. Again, you can do sort of like a one-shot thing, but I would suggest doing screen by screen or maybe even component by component. But I'll just screenshot it, put it here, and say, hey, this is the application that we have. This is the design that I have. Can you please make it closer? And it would actually attempt to do it. You will still have back and forth with it, but it's actually pretty good at that. There's all the tools that you can connect directly with design tools like Figma, NCP, and things like that, that the actual code is more accurate to whatever the source of the design is.
Okay, no, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, so for that question specifically, for any process for design to engineering, just paste everything into, doesn't have to be zero. Like Claude Code, any AI coding tool out there, you can actually do the same thing. And it's literally, most of those concepts here that I showed today overlaps across different tools. So, just keep in mind it's a pattern that you have to learn over and over choosing different tools. And I think we have to set up for the other speaker. So thank you guys. I really hope you appreciate this. I'll make sure to share the other dry run that I did before also so you guys can experiment with it.
Maybe we should also over to Canva. Let's take a selfie
sure.
real quick. I mean, let's get a picture. I know. Want to do
Oh,
this
yeah,
here?
sure.
Get the audience in the back.
Yeah.
We got to do it.
Hey.
That's right. Amazing. Great. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, man.
everyone. We're going to see the next speaker. I'm just thinking about doing the vibe coding boot camp right now.
All right, yes.
So, by the way, if anyone is looking or interested in, we have a lot of great things coming up. So before we move on to the next speaker, we just want to share a few items. Like if everyone would like to join our community, you just join our WhatsApp chat right here. This is how you can stay connected, ask any questions, get personal connection with Agno, ask questions, myself included. So feel free to just scan this QR code right here. And if anyone is interested, a special announcement on getting more, white glove treatment, one-on-one help, having instructors support you, we are actually launching our vibe coding boot camp by 5 days. So feel free to join. It's a 2-day intensive vibe coding boot camp. So we'll teach you everything that you need to know. It'll be a 2-day, Saturday, Sunday. You'll have incredible instructors like Igo Nieves. You'll have Tazra, who's a former GPU developer advocate at NVIDIA, and myself included. So feel free to join in, and can't wait to see you there. Just get a QR code. And so Igo, would you like to introduce Raphael?
Yes. So where is he?
Amazing. So yes, if we could have Raphael come to the stage, I know we'll do a quick intro, and we'll get you started.
Hey, I got Rafael here. This is a special one. He used to work with me at UKG, so I'm going to talk about, a different perspective of using these IAC coding tools.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Did anyone follow through the V0 workshop here? You did? Was it good? Yeah? Do you have any major hiccups?
No, I don't care.
Yeah, it's streaming.com.
What?
Streaming.com/27.
I hope that.
TVJX.
That's actually, thank you.
So what is it?
For the environment variables and anything related to the project, that's, I forgot to mention that. But for every new app created by V0,
Do I need to do anything?
A project, right? So what that means for us is that we can edit global settings of the app. That includes instructions specific to the application. I can also, if you have already a schema, a database, or not the database, but the actual structure of the database, documentation, or even a PRD for the app, you can upload it here, and then it will keep it in mind every time.
This is the
let me see if it
Now the
shows
next
up.
part for the environment variables.
Yeah.
Again, settings, environments, and then you'll see here. You edit, you're good. Branching. So I didn't show it here, but you can branch. So you can here, different branch, and you can do it. You can set variables per branch. Yeah. And everything will also be accessible over stuff.
Amazing. Let's give a round of applause for Agno. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Do I plug in too? Yeah. Is this a second desktop?
Then it should be like a mirror or something like that. Just go to right here. I never know how this works, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I can move it to.
Yeah, you might have to go to displays as well.
Okay, that's fine.
You need to be able to see both screens, right?
No, that's fine.
All right, let's give it up for Raphael.
What up? Hey everybody, my name is Raphael Leal McCormack, and I'm here to talk to you about building SaaS through an engineer's perspective. So this talk's gonna be a little more technical than the last talk and not too much about vibe coding, but I wanna talk about how you can use AI as a multiplier in your development process rather than just leaving everything up to a tool. Yeah, oh, I'm sharing that screen. One second, sorry about that. I don't know how to switch it. Cool. Okay. All right. There you go. Sorry about that. Okay. So a little bit about me. I'm a software engineer at Gale, which is a startup that creates AI products for financial institutions such as banks and insurances. I also used to work as a lead software engineer at UKG and Ultimate Software. Yeah.
And go to mute. Mute that.
Where?
Right click. Yeah. Mute. Perfect. And can you share screen? Yeah.
Sorry about that technical difficulty. Okay, we can get started. So a lot of people think of AI as just a tool to create whatever project you want, but in reality, it's a lot more like having a team of people at your disposal. You don't have to just work on things sequentially, but you can actually do a lot of concurrent work with AI. The way I like to think about it is that the way AI works is really just as good as your thought process and your clarity for how you want to build your products. They're as good as the team that you have, right? If you go to a team with no direction, no anything, they won't really know what they're building and kind of give you whatever. You really have to come with clarity. So I have kind of 3 steps that I go through when I'm going through the development process. And I usually start with setting up AI architecture for success. I handle deceptively simple features, and I orchestrate and break down the different problems for the AI as I work through my development cycle. So there's usually 2 things I like to do whenever I create or work on a project with AI agents. Some tools that you would use for this are like Claude Code or Cursor, if you're aware of those. And these, I usually tend to do 2 things. I provide clear context to the AI on what they're working with, and I set explicit rules on how they can behave in the repo or my project. So whenever it comes to passing context to AI, you want to define, or usually I define these 3 things. I'll define the project structure. I'll let the AI know where do certain things in my code go. Where do components go? Where do my services go? Anything specific about the code itself and how it's structured, I'll explain that to the AI. Another thing that I like to tell to the AI is integrations. So integrations are any third-party libraries related to your app. So usually that's going to be like your database, your design system, any services that you're using. You want to explain to it how it should use it, when it should use it, and when it's appropriate. Another thing I like to define are the system boundaries. So system boundaries are pretty much anything outside of your repo and outside of your control. If you're a developer and you don't want to deploy through like one of these tools, but you rather deploy yourself to like GCP or AWS, this is where you would define like, hey, my project isn't hosted by myself, it's hosted on a server somewhere else, right? If your project is multiple repos and not just one, you want to explain the connection between your repo and other repos, so it's aware of that context. Another thing that I like to do is we set the explicit rules. So for that, it's pretty much in the code how you like to handle certain things. So if you like it that when there's errors, it logs it in a certain way. If you'd like to follow like certain coding patterns like builder or service strategies, you would explain that the way you like to do that. If you do state management in your UI repo, for example, and you want to have like global state management or something like that, this is the place you would do that. Most tools nowadays, especially when you're coding, have a place to put all this information, and it's available in every chat you use. So if you go to like Cursor, usually that's Cursor rules. If you go to like ChatGPT or you go to Claude, they'll have a place where you can set up a project, give it context, and then every chat you built from that project is going to have that information, right? Doing this up front and investing time in this approach really solves a lot of tech debt that happens later. AI, if you start using it, we saw a little bit of it during Agnel's presentation, it'll start going on and on with really vague prompts and not really fixing what you're trying to have it fix. So this can help really solidify what the AI is trying to do. So I kind of want to talk about a simple feature and walk through like the way that I would go through it. I have a side project I'm working on, which is AI agents for restaurants. This involves having a service that is ran on a server, and you can call it and talk with an AI. One of the features that I worked on was something really simple at first, and it was just to add the current time to phone calls. So if you didn't do what we just talked about previously and you went into your repo and you just told it, hey, I need my agent to know about the current time. So if somebody calls, for example, the AI would know like, hey, we're closed, right? It needs context to know these things. If you told the AI to do it with no context, it would just probably create a data object, grab the local string from there, turn it into a text for the AI, and then inject it in the context. It sounds okay, but when you really think about the way your project's built, especially a project like mine, is that I'm deploying this on GCP. Whenever you deploy on GCP, for example, or any server, really, if you deploy to any server, the time zone in a server is usually UTC time. Compared to Eastern time, that's 5 hours ahead. So if you were to call the AI and talk to him and be like, hey, what time is it right now? It would say, what time is it? It's 7:49. It would be like, oh, it's 1 in the morning, which would obviously not work for your product, right? So we kind of want to sidestep that by, if you had given it the context and the AI knew about all the information about your repo, it would have figured out like, hey, I saw you're deploying a GCP and you're on a server. We probably want to account for that in some way, right? So then I want to kind of talk about how I would solve this issue. So I know what I want to do with adding current time to phone calls, right? I know that I need to store it in some type of storage in a database, for example. I know I need a restaurant to be able to change this on their UI or application, and I know I want to inject this into the agent context for the AI. So we could do something like multi-agent orchestration, and this is just a fancy way for running like agents at the same time concurrently. So we could do kind of three things. We can go to one agent and tell it, hey, I want to store my restaurant time zone in the database. Could you give me like the queries and everything I need to do that? You can go to another agent for my phone service, for example, and be like, hey, imagine there's this field in my database for the time zone. Could you integrate it into the agent context for my phone service? And then I can go to the UI at the same time and say, hey, I'm adding a new field to my database. Can you add a way for restaurants to change what time zone they're in? Right? I can do all of this concurrently and at the same time and send it out and have this feature done in literally like 5 minutes. I know it was 5 minutes because I literally did this just the other day. And it was really that simple. Like once I had all the context given to my agent, my AI, and I told it to do the work, it did it really simply and figured it out quickly without having to go too much of that feedback loop, which you'll know if you've worked with AI agents before. You can get into a loop where you're like, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, and you're just there for like 30 minutes. But if you would have given good enough context, they would have figured it out much quicker. So part of that is why I think that technical ability still matters when you're using AI. I don't really think that AI is going to completely take over our jobs. I mean, I can't talk about like what companies are going to do, right? Like they probably want to cut costs or whatever, but I don't think they'll be able to completely eradicate engineers. The thing is that we're really going to become more system designers and really keeping like the AIs in check and figuring out what you want to build for your system. So making sure your knowledge documents are up to date, making sure you're designing a well-built system and orchestrating the agents to your benefit. And pretty much just to go over my three little concepts is that you want to set up your AI agents correctly. You want to give it all the information it needs. You want to break out the pieces of your work in the chunks that make sense for the problem you're trying to solve. And you want to maintain somewhat of an architectural control on the system you're trying to build. You should know your system, right? AI are great tools, but they aren't architects. You can't let them just go crazy. You should really think about everything as an architect. You want to build everything cohesively, and you want to architect for the future and not you know, get replaced by AI. So, oh yeah, question, sure.
Have you, do you have a way to like extract the system architecture from an agent? You know, as a non-technical person, I just want to understand how the system works.
Sure. So it's pretty simple when you have a chat and you're using like Cursor, for example. You can literally just ask it to go through your project one time. If you want to get crazier with it, it depends how specific into your project structure you want to go. Because you can just do like high-level folder structures without actual like code examples. But if you wanted to do something more specific and really dig deep, you could use a different chat for each part of your project that you would like to explain, and just have the AI agent go through your folder and return to you kind of a description of what's in that folder. If it matches what you want, you keep it. If not, you just keep iterating on that documentation. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions.
What are you using for to create the agents and also to orchestrate them?
So that's going to depend. So for me personally, I like JavaScript, so I'll usually do everything in Node. For my UI, I'll do Next.js, which is what Agnel was showing before. I'll use V0 to kind of design what my website's going to look like, but then I'll go into it, you know, deeper myself. For the phone service, I use something called Fastify.js, which is just a way to run a server with JavaScript. For the AI agent part of the phone service, I use OpenAI. They got different models. So usually you'll use a different model depending on what type of work you're trying to do. For a phone agent, for example, you need your responses to be really quick. So usually you want to use a model like, well, 5 just came out, but you can use like 4.1 mini or 4.1 nano. Those will give you much faster responses than the normal size model. Is there anything specific like you want to know? So there's different ways to do it. Yeah, so there's like LangGraph and things like that. That's with Python, a way to like orchestrate your agents and run them in parallel. For my specific use case, I haven't had a need for that. Function calls have been good enough for me. Function calls are pretty much a way for the AI to have hooks into ways of running your code. And I haven't had a need to like have the AI orchestrate multiple calls at the same time.
You said LangGraph?
LangGraph, yeah. That's with Python. I've just been using OpenAI chat completions. You could also use real-time agents. They do everything for you. When you're building like a phone service, for example, you need 3 things. You need speech to text. When somebody's talking, you need to translate it to text. You need text to text, which is Chat GPT or OpenAI in this case, to get your response. And then you need text to speech, which I use 11 Labs. And 11 Labs will create the audio and send it back to, I use Twilio for the phone server. And it's all happening on a WebSocket. But I haven't had a need to orchestrate, so I haven't used any tool with JavaScript to do that yet.
And just a few more questions. And if anyone has questions, please come on over to this side. Colleen?
So I haven't used Cursor in months, so this may not be maybe a non-issue, but I tend to use Claude Code and Windsurf. And I do spend a lot of time up front setting stuff up. Here's my documentation, here's my readmes, here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
And I do notice over time with both tools, and with Windsurf, I'm also changing models, that sometimes it just stops paying attention to, hey, I've said this, I've said that. Have you encountered that? Do you have any tricks or tips about
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to the multi-agent orchestration. Whenever you're using tools like Claude Code or Cursor or Windsurf, you really want to use a chat per piece of work that you're doing. You never really want to use your chat to go past multiple things, because the way the chats work in these things is that there's a context window.
Right.
And once you reach the context window, like the AI kind of just starts acting up and doing whatever it wants to do and using like really old things that aren't relevant anymore. It's not good to keep a chat open for too long. So per feature, you pretty much want to limit it to just that chat. Once you're done with that feature, close that chat and start a new one.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm doing that a lot of just a few
Yeah,
things.
that's the right
Okay.
approach. That's the right approach. That's the way to go about it.
All right, awesome.
For
Thanks
sure.
so much.
Hi,
Hey,
my name is Dell, and I'm creating a chatbot, a verbal one.
Yes.
That talks to you. And what is he is going to do is to dispute insurance claims.
yeah,
You got lowballed on a claim, you're dissatisfied, or you outright got denied. And I want this chatbot to be able to talk to the person, gather their insurance policy number, their claim number, adjuster's name, everything. And then reach out to the companies either through emails, telephone calls, if it can be done, and other ways to climb the ladder
yeah,
as they dispute the claims. And then if they get to the president of the company and he still denies the claim, they go to the local representative, and then all the way to the governor. So it, boom, 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 all the way up the ladder.
yeah.
First of all, the possibilities of that, and second of all, what type of AI agents would I use to accomplish that?
You could use normal chat completions are good enough to do that. OpenAI also has something called real-time agent that they'll handle the entire voice thing for you. It's a little more expensive, but it could do the whole voice interaction part without you needing to do all the middleman that I was just talking about, the 3 steps of like speech to text, text to text, text to speech. You can use real-time agent for that. And usually most of these AI calls have something called function calls. And the functions are what let you do logic based on what the AI thinks it should do. So if you have a hierarchy of like steps you need to go through, you could explain that in the agent context when you're explaining it to the real-time agent, and have different function calls that you do based on, you know, your order of operations, essentially.
I see.
So it's really about prompting in that case. You have to have the right prompts to go in the correct order that you need it to.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And we're a little bit behind schedule, so just 2 quick questions, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay, I'll try to give quick answers. Yeah.
So I'm like the one that you say you're the stupid. Why are you gonna go in that
No,
avenue?
no way.
But
You're good, you're
okay,
good.
so like an ERP competing with SAP, no coding skills, and I started where I did a master blueprint, beautiful, with everything that I need, just to make sure that it's intelligent enough. As I start building, I keep each model separate, of course, but I don't delete them because that's how I think that when it's coding, it's kind of getting context from the other ones in that sense. When I generate within a project, just you say delete them so it doesn't get confused with the other models.
Not delete them, like it depends on what tool you use. If you're just using like
So GPT to then put it on Replit. The idea comes from GPT and then I paste the code into Replit. as an
yeah,
example.
you on ChatGPT there's a way to just keep a project which is like
Right.
your main information.
And then each model I have it as like a different chat.
Each chat doesn't really matter because chats don't share information. I mean, I know ChatGPT is doing that now where they're
On the
trying to
promo, yeah,
share
yeah.
like information between different chats.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trust that too much. Whenever you do something, if it's important enough to add to your main documentation, add it in and then just kind of forget about the other chats once you're done.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Gavin. I'm a high school senior.
What up?
But I really am curious because this kind of the coding and like computer science, cybersecurity, it's something I definitely want to get into when I go to college. But like I want to start like learning about it more now. I'm in AP computer science now at school. But like, what's something I can do like at home that can like really help me like start developing it? Like my knowledge of like coding and computer science.
For getting started, I would say if you're trying to at least like learn the coding part, I would say learn the basics and the fundamentals because those things are still very important when you start coding. There's a thing called patterns. You should probably learn a couple patterns. Depending on what language you use, you might want to learn like object-oriented programming. You could use AI to learn too, right? Have it make you like a plan of things to do. But I would definitely learn the fundamentals. Like, don't completely trust AI and the things it's building, because I don't know if you've seen like the studies. If you just let AI do too much, like overall it damages your knowledge of what you're doing. Like, it just makes you brain dead if you just do whatever the AI is telling you.
Yeah, I use a lot of AI in school
Yeah.
anyway,
So try to use the AI to learn and not so much to like. The way I like to say is like velocity. Don't use AI for velocity, use AI to gain knowledge. So ask it to explain things to you, try to understand the changes it's doing. Don't just be like, do this for me and then that's it. Like, I don't care about how you did it. Like that wouldn't be the right way to go about it.
All right, thank you.
For sure, no problem. All right, thanks everybody.
Amazing, amazing. Let's give it one more time for Rafael. Oh my gosh. Learned so much from the developer's perspective, as always, just love that. So now we're going to break it down even more. So, we started strong, right? And we're going to finish even stronger. What we're doing is we first started with technical, and now we're going to go a little bit less technical as well. So if anyone felt a little bit, lost or anything like that, now we're going to also break it down where, you can build these apps, in an incredible way. So we're going to have Muntazer come up to the stage next. So Muntazer is a former GPU developer advocate at NVIDIA. So we're very excited to have him be part of our community. And not only that, he's also an AI advocate for DeepStation. So he's been an incredible speaker here at DeepStation for quite some time. He spoke at our AI Summit, DeepStation AI Summit, during Miami Tech Week and has helped us with a number of workshops. So let's give it up for Muntazer. Amazing, amazing. I mean, this is it's just incredible to just look out and to see so many people eager to learn. So who here has been to the lab before? Wow, a lot of people. Amazing. How many people here are the first time at the lab? Fantastic. Well, now you know where to be. So we're just going to go ahead and set up. Just go ahead and plug in a good old HDMI cable, which should be right here.
Here.
Perfect. And then. Yeah. So now everyone knows how to, play with V0. People have the laptops out. You know how to get more help as time goes on. We'll go ahead and finish setting up and we'll get started. Perfect. Watch your step. Oh, are you connected to StreamYard?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
StreamYard?
Should be.
I'll go to StreamYard.
Sorry?
StreamYard?
StreamYard?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone, and we're back. Let's give it up for Muntazer one more time, and we'll go ahead and get started.
All right. Okay, so this is gonna be vibe. It's a vibe days, so it's vibe coding, and I vibe coded a bunch of stuff to show you guys, and I'm gonna show you how I built them and how you can use Vercel v0 to vibe code yourself. So the first thing I want to show you guys is something I called the chess RPG or dynamic chess combat, right? So you have to notice that when you use Vercel v0, it's very good at doing front-end stuff. So if you have something front-endy that you want to do, yeah, if you want to do something that's basically front-end heavy and display heavy, Vercel is a very good good vibe coding platform to do this. Just to show you what this thing actually does. So everyone here is familiar with chess, right? Okay, so one thing, so I hope everyone knows, even if you don't know how to play chess, you know what chess is. So one thing you've noticed with chess is when you take pieces, the attacker always wins. But that's not really fair because in real life, sometimes the attacker doesn't win, the defender also has a chance to win, right? So let's just turn this around. And now we have a chess RPG where maybe the attacker doesn't win all the time. So let's start playing, and you'll see here that the attacker has, sometimes it's the attacker's advantage, and sometimes we have a battle where the defender wins. Maybe the pawn is not strong enough to kill the knight, right? So anyways, let's go into how I built this. So one of the things that you wanna, where did my mouse pointer go? Yeah. Okay, so one of the things you can do with Vercel is you can create forks, as you've seen before. And with forks, you can basically have if you have something that works, you don't want to modify it, you basically fork a copy and then you can make your modifications to it. In order to do this kind of interface, I went through a longish process. So you can see the process is over here. So you start off with your basic prompt. So we can use, actually, we don't need to even write the actual prompt ourselves. We can use ChatGPT, can use GPT-5 to design a prompt for us. We can say, create checker. So let's say I want to create a checkers game where king promotion works as a probability. So you don't always get promoted, maybe sometimes you don't. I want to use Vercel v0, just give me the prompt. So here we can use ChatGPT to generate a prompt that we can use in the other engine. So we go here, and we just wait for ChatGPT to do its thing, and you can see it gives you an exact prompt. So you can go here, and then let's make a new chat with Vercel v0. So let's go v0, v0.app, new chat, paste in the prompt. And before you do any prompting here, there's a little prompt tools here that you can click, and you can go enhance prompt. And this actually is a good practice to do with Vercel because it takes a look at the prompt and breaks it down into steps. As you can see, usually it expands it to have more details and fill in gaps. And then you can go, all right. So as you've noticed, with building things vibe coded, it's almost never a one and done. You have to iterate through the process. So there's a bunch of things I built for today's demo, and you can see all of them have, so this is the chess. You can see it went through many different iterations, debugging, but you can kind of wait until it's done. It'll give you a little ping. But while it does that, let's take a look at some of the other stuff I built. So one of the other things I brought to demo is something I call strategic Tetris. So if you're familiar with Tetris, you can play Tetris like so, but sometimes you don't know what's coming up next, so you can actually control it here. So next I want a T, and there you go, that's a T. And then next I want this guy, so I get that guy next. And then you can take your own favorite things. If you have a UI, you can integrate a UI and you can say, I want to add a button that does something. What if there was a pause button in playing back something? What if there was a counter? And this is the power of Vercel. It lets you add elements that you think would make your experience better. Our is still going, so we'll just wait for that to finish. Take a look at the left side and see you can see the structure. You can also see things like what it's supposed to be. It's still in progress, and intermittently, it's going to show you what the UI components it's already built. And it's going to come several tasks which it's working on. So if you click on the task in progress, it's going to show you what are the things it's already built and what are the things it's working on and where it is right now. So if you click on any of the thought bubbles, it's going to give you, it's kind of like a chain of thought reasoning. So you can see this, and this becomes important later on when you want to debug something. If something's wrong, you can go back here and take a look at some component that might be missing, some path that might be missing, etc. suggestions it gives you, takes a look at your portfolio and tells you this is what you need to do, and here's the confidence at which it gives you these analysis. Let's take a look back at the checkers, and the checkers is still running. All right. Finally, let me see what I want to show you guys next. I'll show you strategic Tetris, med query. So again, you can integrate a lot of external services, and if it needs a custom API key, you can actually integrate an API key with it. So you can create an app that ingests secrets and uses GPT or GPT or any other service pretty much for analysis. So for example, let's say this is an interface for looking at medicine reactions. So I want to say, let's look at a medicine called Entresto. So what's going to happen is this is going to do a query and look at everything that's related to this medication. And once we populate our history, it's going to give us all the interaction warnings that we have over here. So pretty much an app. So here's Entresto. Now let's say I want, so if I go here, it's going to just give you a general drug interactions. But if I do, let's say now Advil, so I have Entresto already. I'm going to look for Advil. And when I get the response for Advil, it's going to give me an interaction metric. 2 of these, and it's going to give me interaction substances that may with Advil, and this interaction with Entresto is new. So once I populate this this medication list, it's going to kind of additively put in different kind of interactions that we have over here. Again, we can do integration with OpenAI API, and we can directly interact with the secrets. So in conclusion, you can use GPT. You can use GPT-5 or GPT OSS. I've used GPT OSS for some of the use cases to make Vercel vibe-coded apps much more smoother experience. One last thing before we conclude. Whenever you start running something in Vercel, often you're going to run into these errors. So you're going to see there's an error that pops up. There's a little button called Fix with V0. You can either copy and paste this error, or you can just go click Fix with V0, and it's automatically going to start the debug process. And you can see the debug over. Okay? So after the talk, I'll pretty much share all the code for this, and I am now open for questions.
Amazing, amazing. If anyone has questions, we have time for 1 or 2 questions, but please line up over here and ask the questions.
Oh, and we're done with the checkers.
Oh, let's see there.
I mean, a game of checkers might take, but let's see if this guy. Oh, there you go.
That's cool. One shot.
Okay, so any questions? Any comments? Yes.
If you're gonna do UI interface, right? In that sense, and you have it back, and in that sense, and you're like in it, how do you, in short 30 seconds, bridge them both together to have options and make them match?
Very good question.
Thank you.
So, for example, let's say you have a backend already. What you can do is there's this little connector branch. So you can actually integrate into a new repository that has all your code ready, and you can say integrate with this backend, or you can do a predefined routes.tsx. So when you have your routes defined, you can actually just integrate straight into your GitHub and then synchronize that way.
Can you do GPT and Vercel both into GitHub? In that sense, that they're both thinking at the same time?
Yes, you can connect Vercel to your GitHub. So I've already done this connection. So I have my, like I can connect whatever repository I have.
Right.
On GPT, if you go here, you're gonna go this, and then there's a connectors. Oops. Yeah, you can do use connectors, and then go here, GitHub, and then you can configure and share your repository. Use the same GitHub repository here. Thank you. Good question. Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll screen the minute.
Oh, no, you're good. I can hear you.
Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
You created so many fun examples. I'm wondering, like, how to go through iteration when you're trying to work on, when you're trying to experiment with the UI, but you have some, whoa. When you're trying to experiment with the UI, but you don't want to mess up the back end. And I found that one project I'm working on, because I'm connected, like I'm integrated with a SEPA base, I like can't remix the project and I can't like safely iterate on the UI. So curious on your thoughts around doing that, like kind of more experimental work without wanting to mess up something that you know is working, because I've gotten into these loops where the fix loop that kind of messes up the whole project.
Great question. So there's two things you need to consider. The first thing is when you're in Vercel, you can use the fork option. So when you fork, you leave whatever's working in this state, and it creates an entirely new chat. So let's just go here. If you go fork, and it says create a copy of this generation, and you fork, and then when you do that, you're going to see it opens up a new window, and this is an exact copy. So it's pretty much like forking in GitHub. What you can also do is when you connect to a repo, let's say we're going to connect to a repo, and then we can do blah, 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 blah. So do checkers, test. You can create a repo, and you can put it in a separate branch. So what you can do is whenever you make a new fork here, you can fork it to a different branch, and then when you're satisfied, you can do the merge on the GitHub side. So there's pretty much, it's a two-pronged effort. So you maintain the version, and you maintain it in not the main branch, but in a different branch, and when you're satisfied with all the changes you've made, you can do like a cascading merge, if that makes sense. Okay, you're welcome. All right? Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. All right, let's get out of here.
Amazing, amazing. That was fantastic. Let's give it up one more time for Muntazi. Incredible presenter, incredible speaker, and just a very incredible person in our community. Thank you so much for being our AI advocate. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all the stuff you do for our community. And last but not least, we're going to finish strong. We're going to share so much great information. Chris Daniels has been a staple here in Miami for the longest time. I mean, he's built what? The Trip Society, part of a Built in Miami. Like, he is a community goat. And this, round of applause. And now he is the general manager of the Lab Miami and also partner at DeepStation. So let's give a round of applause for that for Chris. And he did a lot Amazing, amazing. So he's going to be talking about how to building a custom website, the Lab Miami specifically, using Vercel and V0. So we're just going to have the classic setup real quick here. There's a Mac, by the way.
How was it? Good?
Great. And now we're just going to go ahead and plug in this HDMI cable right here.
I'm going to be leaving, so I'll drop you back.
Thank you.
Are you sure? Okay. Me too. I was going to have some dinner, but...
Might be easier.
TV, or are we going through?
The big TV here. So I think you click. Oh yeah, you're perfect. Oh.
Okay, let's give it up for Chris Daniels.
All right. All right, how's everybody doing? Good? Last but not least, we still got some attention here. No one's asleep? Awesome. Like Grant mentioned, my name's Chris Daniels. I'm the general manager here at the Lab Miami. What we're doing here tonight is exactly what the Lab Miami is for. This space is kind of our congregation hall as well as a clubhouse, and then around the corner, some of you might know it as the old lab. We rebranded it to the dock, and that's really our dedicated workspace for early stage startups. And a little bit of background on me, I'm probably the least technical person in this room. I'm not a software engineer. I've been building startups my whole life, and then vibe coding came out, and I said, where's this been my entire life? This is the best thing ever. And so we had to build the lab website. We didn't want to do Webflow. We didn't want to go with a contractor. We wanted to experiment with these new technologies. And so we decided to go with V0. What's up? Oh, yep. What do you need? Here. Okay, perfect. Cool. All right, we're good? Okay, awesome. Let me grab those. Cool, so I guess a little bit of background. We needed to build a website. We needed to build it quick. We wanted it to do some custom things with forms, with, oh, what's going on? Sorry, rookie mistake up here. We wanted to do some things with forms. We wanted to do some things with the Luma calendar. We wanted to do some things that integrated into kind of our CRM, MailerLite, and we needed to do it quick. So I got tasked with building our website. We started from scratch. And so I looked at, I guess a little bit of background, I looked at Lovable, I looked at Bolt, looked at all sorts of those tools. What I liked about V0 is that we could deploy it to Vercel, connect a domain, and not have to kind of worry about other systems. So that's why we went with V0. It was really seamless. I'll show you that in a bit. But I guess to start with the end, this is our live website now, thelabmiami.com. This was completely made, everything from V0. And so we have about 5 pages. All of the designs, animations, all of that is from V0. This thing was kind of the bane of my existence, building in V0, but we got it done and it worked. And it's all mobile optimized as well. V0 did a really good job of making that pretty seamless. There were a couple of spots where there were weird overlaps, and then you would just say, fix that on this mobile view. But I was pretty impressed with some of the interactions that came out of the box, things like this, that I thought were, you know, more sophisticated than what you'd see on like a Wix website or something like that. And then we have a couple things I want to highlight here because I'll talk about them on V0. All of this, and then when we go to, where is it? This event request form. So we integrated with Notion's API so that when this form gets triggered, it goes right to Notion. Our team gets that, and we have automations in the back end. And so that was really helpful to not have to build a ton of different Zapier integrations to get that information where we needed it. And then this goes to Beehive, our newsletter. That was really seamless to set up as well. We use the Beehive API. And then our contact form goes to MailerLite. So these were some of the different APIs we integrated. And again, I'm not technical at all, so I just said V0, how do I do this? And it would walk me through it. So let's go back to the beginning. As you can see, we were on version 300 of kind of our start of our website. Around, I think it was, the reason you don't see anything is because at version 300, everything blew up and crashed. And it was a nightmare. And so what we ended up doing was backing it up or going to a backup point that we had connected in GitHub and then forking it and starting new on this fork of it. So learned a lot about backups in V0. We had Andres Espinoza, who's a member, he's a CTO that helped with kind of that process of rebooting things. But I will say that was extremely frustrating. And so definitely as you're building this, make sure you're backing up to GitHub, have multiple copies as you're doing big iterations and big pushes. because for 3 hours I just kept saying, fix this, where's my website, and we had to kind of go back to the start in a sense. But here's an example I thought might be interesting from that version. The way I thought about building this was, first off, giving it all the context without having it write any code. And so what we did is we have like a brand kit that a branding person's made, right? That has all of our colors, all of our content, our logos, all that stuff. What I would do is just take screenshots of that. I tried to upload the PDF. I think it was too much for it to parse through. So instead what I did is just spend some time taking screenshots of all of this, of the fonts, things like that, and then said, hey, this is the brand kit for this entire website. Use this for everything. And that was one of the first things we did. And then gave it some context. We had, kind of like a general overview deck. So this looks familiar because this is, what we use then on the website. So we had some content. So what I did, same thing, was screenshot all of this, feed it into V0, and now we had a brand kit. We had some context. We had content for it to then go out and start writing some copy, which we of course edited, but it helped V0, I guess, understand what was going on. And then from there, I really started page by page. So started with the home page, got that in a good place, then moved to the about page, then the event page, things like that. Here's an example of working through the Notion API. I normally just ask V0, like, what's the best way to do this? Give me options. And what I learned is this last line, don't write any code, just explain our options. Because sometimes I would ask it a question like, how should we integrate Notion? And then it would just start integrating things and things would break. And so I found that really helpful to just help it think through. And again, this was a couple months ago. I think V0 has gotten better on that specific design feature where you can grab things and change them and some of these other contextual things. But then it just tells you exactly what to do. So we went ahead and got that set up with Notion. So here's our Notion API here. And then that goes to our backend on Notion. But it also gives you other ideas on how to do it too. And one of the most complicated things we tried to do that didn't work out is we host a lot of events here. And so we wanted to have a really beautifully designed event page. And so we use Luma's API, which I guess is just notoriously awful. And we had this all beautifully designed with custom tiles and all these tags and everything, but we couldn't get it to update right. We even were talking to the Luma team, and they just didn't have what we needed. So that was frustrating. That was kind of derailed us. So we ended up with an embed, but again, that was very easy. We just asked V0, I want to embed this snippet from Luma. You put it in there. Same thing with API keys. It'll just say, put the API keys in right here. It'll store them, all those things. Some issues that we had is along the way, I think it was when we forked over, all of our images were lost. So all the images on the website were just gone and not showing up. And so what we had to do is manually kind of do a copy and paste, upload the picture, say this picture needs to go here, and specifically save this to the project files. That was frustrating, not ideal. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but that was definitely a frustrating process. And then same thing here on the MailerLite API and the Beehive API. It was just, how do I do this? It told me exactly what to do, copy and pasted in there, and it was great. And then on the deployment, the reason we went with them is because it was really easy. This is our forked version here. We have it obviously connected to our domain here, but going through that, if you've ever built a website or copy and pasted, the A keys or the at keys, it's really easy to do. So we just were able to grab that from GoDaddy, copy and paste that in, and 2 hours later, the site was up. So that was super easy. Some of the other issues I wanted to hit on was using WhisperFlow. Does anyone here use WhisperFlow? Yeah, I think that's the best tool in the world. You just talk to your computer. And so where's WhisperFlow? So you install this on your computer, and then you just hold the FN key, and it'll type anywhere that your cursor is plugged into, it'll type. So all of this I just talked to. I wasn't typing this out. And the reason I bring that up is because when I built this, now they have a design feature where you can grab specific things. They didn't have that when I was building this, so I had to say things like, on the first slide, on the home page, on the title text, change the copy from plug into Miami text community to XYZ. And so changing small things like the copy or what was in a button was really frustrating. So seeing them release that design feature was super nice. Let's see, we talked about the blow up. Oh, I guess something else to think about is as you get closer to publishing your website, you know, like a Wix or even a Webflow, they have a lot of helpful guidance and pages for you to upload a favicon, you know, your meta tags, things like that, kind of the little bit of the back end details of the website. You do have to spend some time adding those things in, like the favicon, like mobile settings, things like that, that you just have to make sure you troubleshoot and kind of tinker with to make sure everything's sound. But something I really liked and wasn't expecting from Vercel is the analytics. And so being able to have, you know, our site design with V0 and then Vercel hosting it and then having the analytics was super helpful because we don't need to put in other things. It all comes straight from there. Super helpful. I'm sure there's more complicated additional software we can use, but for us right now, it works perfect. And as you can see, the original site title was working with PDF because I was trying to upload that PDF. And then, yeah, I talked about the deployment. Yeah. We have a Luma API on our, no, we tried the Luma API, now it's just an embed, and Luma has that kind of out of the box. The event request form, that was the Notion API, which was super helpful. And then the contact us, that's MailerLite, so we're using webhooks for MailerLite, so that all goes there. And then this was Beehive. And so, you know, since we were using these different systems, we didn't want to get stuck into like Webflow's kind of form system that I think is kind of confusing, or Wix, or one of those Squarespace things, because we have different systems for different reasons. And so being able to plug in all of the different systems without having to just do an embed, because if you look at MailerLite's like embed a form feature, they're like the worst designed forms you've ever seen. They don't look good. So this was nice because we could implement a form, but it would all be custom branded around the site and the padding and the curvature of the buttons and things like that. But yeah, I would say all in all, the process. Oh, one more thing that we did is on the aesthetics of the design, in kind of that uploading the brand kit, uploading, you know, our deck, things like that, giving it context, is just went out to a bunch of websites that I thought were really cool and interesting, took screenshots of those and just uploaded them in there and said, here's inspiration and see what you can come up with. And so that was really helpful because the first time I did it on a separate project, it was very, very basic. It looked like kind of every vibe-coded website you see. They all have a very similar look: heading, middle button, you know, big sections with different colors. And so that helped a lot to just grab inspiration and be like, here's something we like, here's something we like. I like the way that this form looks. I like the way that, you know, this slider looks. I like the way this testimonial looks. So that sped things up a lot. I would say, all in all, building it was probably 3 weeks from starting to actually like having it live with a domain and everything, and you know, 4 days of that was the meltdown at version 302 and getting that back online. We worked with Andres Espinoza, like I mentioned, and what we did was we connected the GitHub repository to Cursor and then troubleshot in Cursor of what the issues were, had it fix the issues in Cursor, and then re-uploaded it to GitHub, and that's where we fired up the forked version that was working. So that was maybe the most technical part of what we did. But yeah, I think that's it. I'll stop for questions. I would say, I guess in closing, that we have a lot more plans of things we want to do with the website, and being on V0 allows us to like think creatively. What kind of other things could we do versus if we were just stuck with embedding something on a Squarespace site? It's pretty rigid. And I was honestly shocked by how easy it was to implement APIs and have all the data structured. And I think now there's even more complex things that you can do. But for 3 weeks, we probably would have paid someone $25,000 for this. And so pretty pumped to do it on Vercel and pay the $20 a month or whatever it is to host. It's not bad, but happy to take any questions. You got one? Yeah. Is it on? You might have to switch it on, the mic.
Okay, there we go. So as a non-technical person who is dabbling and experimenting and things like that, and I've seen you and we've talked about it, I'm curious, how do you feel that the tools that you have available and the guidance and the things that help you get started and keep going, where are they not enough for you today? What is missing so that people who don't have a background in engineering can get started and actually get things built and go, if you built this today, how do you get to the next level? How do you build something more complex? How you iterate, go back to it? What's missing that you're not getting today that is keeping you from doing more?
Yeah, I think first off, I don't know if it was from a podcast or something like that, but just the idea of working with the vibe coding tools in small components and building one thing and then figuring out how that connects to another thing, right? If you're building an application, I think that was really helpful because, if we tried to build everything simultaneously, I think there would be a lot more issues versus building one thing completely and then doing the next thing. And so I guess guidance on how to best use these tools. I know Y Combinator's been putting out some good podcasts and content and YouTube on how to work with these tools and get the most out of them, which has been helpful. But for us, I think the most complicated part was really connecting GitHub and configuring GitHub, especially as a company, we have to have the different access permissions and we want to make sure that things are in the right place. So if you're not a developer, that's like a whole new world, understanding the repositories. Also, the forking was very interesting, specifically in Vercel, because I was talking to V0 about, hey, the whole project's blown up. We need to get this out of here. We need to start over with what we have. And the forking, it really wasn't clear what you were taking with it. And some of the guidance was to build a lot of different things and fork and then bring them together. So I don't know if it's an education piece on V0's part or someone else. And then getting stuck. I got through a lot of issues just telling V0 like help, I don't understand what's going on, fix this. But I think realistically having a pretty senior software engineer that was available to be like, oh no, this is messed up, let's just back things up, let's fix this. And they were small things, right? One of it was a specific package that was in there that shouldn't have been, or a specific legacy thing from the first time that we, put the prompt in and that wasn't needed. So I think there was a lot of junk in there as, I went through this iterative process, and having a software engineer kind of do a final review and put it in the cursor and say, okay, let's clean things up. I think I've told you too, like someone should definitely start a vibe coding consulting firm where you just pay a subscription and I can call you at 2 a.m. and say, fix this, it's stuck, I just lost my website.
So many people have joked about that.
Crush it right now. But yeah, vibe coding support on demand, or just being around other engineers that can help when you get stuck.
And as an engineer, building agents, but also I'm hoping Vercel cares a lot about that feedback. What could the platform have done better? Like what would you have different in the platform, or would you like them to get from other platforms that you've seen that would have maybe saved you some time?
Yeah, this new design feature that they have, that's huge. Being able to grab a specific thing, change that specifically for what you're looking for, and I'm sure there's a way. I haven't messed around with this because I didn't. This wasn't here, but being able to specifically say, just change this copy to this would have saved, I would think, half the time. Half the prompts were change this specific text, or change this color to this color, or move this over a little bit. And so being able to grab and specifically point to something that you're looking to change would be super helpful. So now they have that, which is great. I'm trying to think, I guess a little bit of a starter guide, maybe if you could start a project and be like, I want to build a website, and then it would prompt you to be like, okay, let's start with your brand, let's start with the content, let's start with this, because I think I just heard that on a podcast and went with that, but it'd be interesting if they had a little bit of templates starting in the right direction. Cool, awesome. Yeah, was there?
The gentleman in the red t-shirt had a question.
Someone have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as changing the design, once you select that, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so changing the design. So for example, let's see, let's get out of design mode. Here, for example, I remember wanting to change this button from half length, it was like small, to full length. And I would just, sometimes actually what was really helpful is just taking a screenshot to give it a little bit of a pointer. So I'd take a screenshot and say, hey, on the mobile hamburger menu selector, change the contact us button to full length. And so there was a lot of that in the design process, which is a little tedious, but the fact that it worked just about 99% of the time was great. And if it didn't work the first time, you just give it a little bit more context and work again. But you do have to be specific, because if you say change the contact button to be full screen, it might change this, the other contact button to be full screen. Yeah, definitely. And I think the idea with this new design thing is that you could grab, for example, well, I guess you'd have to expand that, but you could grab a button and then ask a follow-up on that specific button, and then it'll know the context of it. Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Chris, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course.
That was a great presentation.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Here, let me get you this back.
Thank you. Wow. Oh my gosh, people were commenting. A really good speaker, really good presentation. So thank you. Can we give it up one more time for Chris Daniels? That was absolutely amazing. I mean, just really well brought together. Really loved learning how Lab Miami's website and how you can also build your own custom website and make it very advanced as well for your own needs. So who here learned something new about Vercel, vibe coding here today? Fantastic. All the hands go up. That's incredible to hear. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of wrap up here, get to know each other a lot more, and just have some great conversations. I'm just going to show you a few last things, and then we'll go ahead and just have some great conversations. So I want to first give up for our volunteers here today. Let's give it up to Sonali Patel for all the operations, planning, etc. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And also, let's give it up for Izzy for helping with live streaming and all the recording so that all the great people here can watch. These are incredible people, really giving DeepStation, our essence and our, everything we've got. So, again, we couldn't do it without incredible people like you. If you want to join, let us know. Be part of our community. So I'm just going to show you a few, things real quick. If you want to connect with us on social, if you want to volunteer, you want to sponsor, you want to speak, just scan this QR code. This QR code will take you to all those right there for you. You can go ahead and apply for your speaker presentation, your sponsorship presentation, your just follow us on Instagram, YouTube, you name it. It'll be there. And last but not least, if you're interested now, maybe maybe this was a little bit fast. Maybe you want to go more in depth. Maybe you just want to talk with us a bit more. We are having our Vibe Days by DeepStation boot camp next month. So just go ahead and scan that QR code, be part of our 2-day intensive boot camp, and you'll be become really great. If you want to be part of our newsletter as a Diamond member, so we have a Diamond member opening as well. For the next 10 Diamond members, you become a Diamond member, you will be able to be part of our newsletter consistently as well as on our socials. So go ahead and give that a scan. And last but not least, I suppose that is it. So all I'm going to ask for is let's all come up, take a picture, the classic group picture, and then we'll all get to know each other. So thank you all, everyone, so much. And let's give a round of applause also for our co-host, Agno Nieves. Thank you so much for showing everyone how to do live coding. Amazing, amazing. Cool, amazing. So come on up, picture. Oh, that's a good idea. Which one? Oh, yes. What's that? Perfect.
As always.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't do it without you. Great people like yourself, man. Thank you for coming. Amazing, amazing. Oh, good call. That's a good move. Yes, absolutely. And then there's like this.
Watch out with that cable.
Right, perfect. Come on up, come on up. Don't be shy. The more the better. More the better. Looks great for the gram. No, it's all about the community here. That's what it's all about. So thank you. Thank you for going in. Cool. Cool. Sonali, we need more people. Muntazer, you. Thank you. Jeez, yeah, 5 days, yeah. Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, oh, no, it's a community. Thank you, Patricia. No, not yet. Next month, September 5th. Thank you. Yeah, September 5th, yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Like, oh my God, already a year?
I know. It's like so fast, right? Savannah, how you doing? My buddy from Korea.
I can't believe it, already a year?
It has been fast. It is moving fast, right? Yes, By the way, what was it? Thank you for coming, dude. What was the question you were to ask?
I was going to ask about GPUs and open source AI.
Oh, really? Yeah. Ask Muntazer. He's still here.
It seems like he knows his stuff.
Oh, he knows his stuff. He's a GPU developer advocate. Ask him before he goes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, great seeing you. Are you a developer yourself?
Yeah.
Amazing, nice. What are you building these days?
So we just started a company 8 weeks ago. I don't know if we met, by the way. I'm Dave.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Great.
He's the CEO. I'm technical.
Cool.
And then on the side, I'm still working my day job for now.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna quit here soon, but
got to do both, then jump.
Exactly.
Full force.
Exactly.